那其实这里想让我们讲的是 Frida 过后，Frida was not paying much after she and Diego were married. Looking after her husband was a full-time job. He sometimes works for 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. Frida would go to sit with Diego while he painted. She even learned to cook and foods that Diego liked to eat. Frida was frustrated that she wasn't painting, though she didn't say anything to Diego. She felt it was her responsibility to look after her famous husband. How the world get to see Diego's incredible murals and she wasn't helping behind the scenes. The year after Frida and Diego were married, Diego was also in work in the United States. In November 1930, a couple traveled to San Francisco. Because Diego was famous, Frida and Diego was invited to the fancy parties when they arrived. The elephant and dove were very popular in the high society in San Francisco. But once Diego started working in Mario Frida didn't spend a lot of time with her own. She did not feel comfortable in the United States. She missed Mexico. It was also the time the Great Depressions in the United States. Even though Frida and her husband met a lot of wealthy people while they were in San Francisco. Frida saw a lot of poor people when she took around the cities. Frida and Diego were fun to be around, and people liked spending time with them. They took funny jokes and interesting stories, and they laughed a lot. However, things didn't always go well, well between the two of them. They were both strong and stubborn. They argued. Frida felt she and Diego were spending too much time in the United States. She was homesick. She wanted to go back to Mexico. Frida didn't really make friends with anyone while she was in San Francisco. But one person she met became a big part of his life. His name was Dr. Leo Alonso. He became her friend and her doctor. For the rest of his life, he treated Frida whenever she was sick or pain. During this time, Frida painted Frida and Diego Rivera. And that were the pictures and showed them the couple on their wedding day. In the painting, Diego is much bigger than Frida. He holds the painter's fearless and brushes. This was Frida's way of showing our muse and the artist. She is dressed in traditional Mexican clothing and jewelry and has leaf in her hair. Above her is a dove, maybe couple, the elephant and dove. Diego and Frida went back to Mexico for a short time in 1931. Diego needed to finish a painting that had started there. While they were in Mexico, they stayed in the Blue House. Diego liked Frida's family, but he decided to build a new house for them in San Angelo. It would really be two buildings connected with a bridge. Frida would not live a part of the house. Diego would live and work in another part of the house. Frida was happy to be back home, but she soon had to pack her suitcase and leave again. The Museum of Modern Art in New York City wanted to present an exhibition of Diego's works. Frida didn't really want to go back to the United States, but it was a very big honor for her husband. Frida and Diego's home in San Andreas. While she was in New York, Frida again met lots of rich and famous people. But just like San Francisco, there are many people in New York City were unemployed and hungry due to the disruptions. It made Frida sad. She was upset that she and Diego were having a good time and going to fantastic parties, and while many people were suffering and Diego's exhibition was closed, he and Frida moved to Detroit for the motor company. He had asked Diego to paint a mural for them. While Diego was busy painting, so was Frida. She decided to paint how she felt about being away and home. Now she didn't always like being in the United States. In 1932, that Frida and Johnson still frustrated between Mexico in the United States. Frida is in the middle of painting and understands the Mexican views of the beautiful flowers and big bright vegetables. And other side in Frida tall skyscraper smooth text and offering out illusions of the sky. Of painting Frida's life and knows so much she loved her she loved and missed her homeland, and that she didn't care in the fast-paced industrialist world outside it. Another painting Frida did a year later is called "My Dress Hands Here." The In the painting, you tell that being in New York City didn't always make Frida happy. It shows many people standing in a line waiting for food, a building on fire, and an overflowing garbage can. Frida even included a toilet in the painting, but she didn't put herself in the picture. Instead, she painted one of her dress hanging from the middle of the scene. Frida's message was while her dress may be in New York City, but her body and soul are in Mexico. A- After 3 years in the United States, Frida and Diego moved back to their house that Diego built in Mexico. As planned, Frida lived inside of the house, which was painted blue as like a blue house, and Diego lived in the attic. Had been realized more and more while they were in the United States, living in separate buildings and houses. They live and work easier for both of them. Arguing with Diego upset Brada's, but she put her emotion and energy into her paintings. It was during these difficult times that Brada sometimes made the best and most interesting pictures. While lives in the United States, Diego had been the most attention. However, Frida felt now her turn as she showed off the world of the talented artist. Frida seemed to have some paintings of metal or wood and fire off the canvas. Painting or metal or painting on metal, wood, and popular Mexican folk art. Choosing those styles, painting and engraving, Frida respect importance of her culture and country in her artwork. During this time, Frida had even more operations. She also found that she would never be able to have a baby. Frida wanted to have children, but in years of accident meant to be able to live sadness was more even so the bare life just seemed unfair. Now as Frida looks at the stories and lives of painting of is not afraid of an express of her feeling through her art. Frida's is including message and history filled in symbols for Mexican art and culture. He wanted to remind people in part of the country. At point, Frida and Diego had such a big argument as Frida moved into the house and said handle. She cut off a long beautiful hair and he stopped wearing traditional masks. Mexican clothes she had always worn. It was exactly opposite of Frida's really was, and it showed how upset she was by having between her and Diego. Even though Frida's personal life was difficult, she was becoming more successful as an artist. People were beginning to say more attention to her paintings and finances of the feelings and moods in her pictures have become as famous as her husband. Frida was born in 1937 and called Memory the Heart. In, in it, Frida appears with her friends show as its helpless and sees on the float in the air. A large of heart lies on the ground. There There was a hole of the hardship beat and his sword as he pushed in the hole. Parts of the body and symbolize his heartbroken and powerless and changed in ways putting these images into her heart. How Frida feel better about things she could not control. Later in 1937, Frida's paintings are included grew in the habit and at the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Julian Levers of Onap Gallery in New York City was inhabited of Frida's painting was fantastic. Went back to the New York and he wrote in Frida. He asked her if she would show her paintings at his gallery. It was just great that Frida had been waiting for. Frida replied, yes, and sent photos of some of other paintings. Mr. Olivia's extra have sent pretty paintings of inhabitants, so Frida got to work and started painting more than ever. 现在让就是这个的那个想当就是你那个是你那下回的，拜。